Hi everyone, welcome to Zawaras. In this video, I will try to address some of the comments. So the first comment is, when logout should I delete CSRF token and session ID on client or server? So the thing is, Spring Security takes care of most of the things, but if you still want to do some customization after logging out, then you can follow this documentation here. It says that Spring Security provides a logout endpoint by default. Once logged in, you can send a GET request to logout endpoint to see a default logout confirmation phase, or you can post to logout to initiate logout. And the default logout will clear the server CSRF token repository. It will also clear the server security context repository, so the user will not longer be authenticated. And it will redirect the user back to the login page. But the session will still remain. So if you want to invalidate the session on logout, then you can add web session server logout handler. So here we can see we are creating a logout handler which has web session server logout handler. So this will invalidate the session, and also we are using security context server logout handler which will do these two things. It will clear the server CSRF token repository and server security context repository, and you can add that to this logout method. So you can say logout handler logout handler. So once you do that, then the session will be invalidated on your server side. The next question is, in this architecture of authorization server, resource server and client server with Angular app within it, is it not possible to have Angular applications running outside of client server on a separate port, let's say 4200? So yeah, this is entirely possible, and many developers follow this architecture. But there is one thing to keep in mind, that while creating any application, so let's say I'm using Okta as authorization server, and when I create a new application, let's select OIDC. Now here in application type, you need to select either web application, single page application, or native application. So if your website is served from the backend, just like we have been doing in this playlist, we have been serving Angular app from Spring Boot backend. So that comes under web application category. So server side applications where authentication and tokens are handled on the server, because we handle everything in Spring Boot backend, not in the Angular. In that case, you use web application. But if you have single page application, like you have a standalone application which is in Angular or React or some other framework, or even simple JavaScript application which doesn't have any backend to serve it, then you need to select single page application. And if you are creating Android, iOS, or React native app, then you need to choose native application here. So if I select single page application and click on next, then one single page application will be created. And if you see, let's save it. So hello everyone. Now you see, here we don't have any client secret. We only have client ID for this application, but we don't have any client secret. So that's the thing. You should not, or you must not store any secrets in your client side application. That's why we won't get any client secret if we create single page application. So never create web application and use that client ID and secret in your Angular standalone application. The next question is, can you please create separate video just to cover Maven and Shell scripting? So the answer is, uh, it might not be possible. If you really want to learn something, you start using it, and if you find difficulty somewhere, then you search it on internet and you will find everything. The next is, how can I extract custom claims from resource server? So you can do that using JWT authentication token. So if I go here, so in JWT authentication token, you will get two methods, get name and get token attributes. So get token attributes return a map of string to object. So this has all the claims. So this will contain the custom claims as well if you have any. So for example, in your authorization server, you can create custom claims. Now, how to create custom claims, that depends on the authorization server which you are using. So you can look at the manual of authorization server and you can see how to create custom claims. So whenever user logs in, the custom claims will be provided in access token. You can use JWT authentication token to get to the claims. So I have also done it, I guess. So if I go here, let's go to code here. And this is my resource server for OAuth2. Go to source, main, Java controller, demo controller. So yeah, here you can see it's commented out. So here instead of principal or authentication, I'm using JWT authentication token because it will give us the claims. And here in the pre-authorize, I'm checking if the token attributes get custom role. So the here the token name is custom underscore role. So if its value is John, then allow it. This is commented out, so it will not work. But this is how you can get the custom claims. Token dot get get token attributes dot get and then the name of the custom claim. And you can do whatever you want to do with this claim. So that's how you extract custom claims. Now this is a comment. So I translated it into English and the translation is it seems to be English, but I don't understand a damn thing. So yeah, I understand that the audio in many of my videos is in poor quality. So I'm planning to create subtitles and record with better sound quality. Now this is a long question here. I have three microservices A, B, and C, and one gateway. I want to implement security to gateway after successful authentication. It route the request to other service like service A. In service A, I have implemented role-based REST endpoints. Now my question is how the service A perform authentication and authorization. And again, I want to request for data from service A to service B. In service B, I want to validate the incoming request and perform operation based on user role. How to implement this? I want to know how the real world and it companies implement this. Yeah, so the answer is depends on your application logic. So what is the logic of your application? If you find that the user is not able to perform that action, then you just respond with access denied exception or something like that. And you can use custom claims if you want. So I have already mentioned that how do you use that. So in your authorization server, let's say you return a custom claim with the name role and that will contain the role of the user. Now how do you configure that? That depends on your authorization server. And in the resource server or in your API server, you can check for the role. If the role doesn't match, then you can again return with access denied exception. The next question is, I want to use same for the REST API. Please explain what is authorization server and resource configuration. Yeah, so the answer is API server is same as resource server. And in the next videos, I have explained what is the configuration of resource server. The next question is how we have logout session or implementation of logout authorization server because JSON ID is still present in Chrome after calling revoke API. So the answer is the user is logged out, so you don't need to worry about it. But if you still want to invalidate the session, you can use documentation, which I have already covered. The next question is, can you please explain authorization code, Pixie, and how it works? I'm planning to create a video soon about it. If I have two clients application, I try to get access to client one, redirect to authorization server, get successful authentication for client one. And next from browser, I try to get access to client two link. and getting successful result without authentication process. My token from client 1 is valid for client 2. How to avoid this behavior? So the answer is this is the expected behavior since you are already logged into the client 1. So that means you are logged into the authorization server. Now when you try to log into the client 2, so you are already logged into the authorization server, so you will be logged into the client 2. But if you look carefully, the tokens won't be same, the tokens will be different. How to log out this session from Angular or log out from Angular? So you just need to make a GET request to logout endpoint with correct CSRF configuration. Let's look at what are the CSRF configuration. So if I go to client server OAuth2 source main Java security authorization config. So this is the authorization config for client application which serves the Angular application. Now earlier here instead of server CSRF token request attribute handler, it was XOR server CSRF token request attribute handler, due to which if you directly go to the slash logout page, you will get invalid CSRF token. So if you remove the XOR from it and if you use only server CSRF token request attribute handler, it will work. You can look at a pull request which is closed already, and which is adds logout button. So here go to file changed. Now these are the files which I changed. So basically in the application properties file, I just changed my authorization server from my local authorization server to the Okta authorization server, because the client server and authorization server both were running on local host. So I was getting some errors in cookies because both have the same host name. So that's why I changed the authorization server. And yeah, yeah, you can see in authorization config for the client application, instead of XOR server CSRF token request attribute handler, we are using server CSRF token request attribute handler. And in the app.component.html, I have created a link to logout. So whenever you click on this logout text, you will be redirected to the logout confirmation page. And when you click on sure button, then you will be logged out. So that's how you implement the logout. The next question is getting 404 error while using through Postman, but in the web browser it works fine. So the answer is you need to check your configuration whether they are correct or not in the Postman. Thank you everyone. That was it for this video. I will see you in the next video. Until then, keep learning. Bye.